Good afternoon. I'm Ken Herndon, District 4 Metro Councilman. We are beginning this meeting at 4:04 p.m. This meeting is being held pursuant to KRS 61.826 and Council Rule 5A. I'm filling in for Committee Chair Jeff Hudson. With us today are colleagues Jennifer Chappell, Stuart Benson, Josie Raymond, and Kevin Bratcher. We have one item. Let's see, we have multiple items, appointments that are being held. So these are the two items. Let's go ahead and move to number 2, which is legislation. We can go ahead and address that, and then we can move to our special discussion. So I'll call item 2. And I can. It is a resolution authorizing the Office of the Jefferson County Attorney to bring a condemnation action against the owner of certain property, parcel number 18 in Jefferson County, in connection with the Crumbs Lane Sidewalk Project, sponsored by Councilwoman Shamika Parrish-Wright. Is there any? Yes, sir. Oh, I'm sorry. It's my first time to chair a committee. Need a motion. Motion? In a second?
Second.
Good afternoon. My name is Mike Pinnock. I am the right-of-way manager for the Louisville Department of Transportation, and we have a sidewalk project on Crumbs Lane in order to tie in Dixie Highway close to Cane Run to Chavoy Drive, I believe, is the street where we're actually going to stop the project. We are putting in between 5 and 6 feet in certain areas. We're bringing the sidewalk that's currently there more up to ADA compliance, and also to benefit Jefferson County Public Schools, Butler High School, and I believe it's Scheffner Elementary. And so we ran into a brick wall on this particular parcel that we're coming before you with, where the owners have just not negotiated with us in good faith. We've made every attempt to try to settle their concerns. They've stopped communicating with us. We've kind of been stalemated a little bit. I even got the county attorney's office to kind of draft a letter on our behalf to see if they can get a response, and she has not. So unfortunately, it kind of brings me before you all in order to request permission for this project to move forward. We are going to need this particular acquisition on the property for the project to continue.
Okay. So we're past any deadline that they may have to respond, and according to the county attorney, is there such a deadline? I don't know.
Well, if they reach out to us before, like right now, I'm coming before you, but if they were to give me a call next week, we can easily bypass and not have to go all that route, but this will allow us to initiate it if they choose to continue to be silent and stalemate us out.
Okay. Any further discussion, colleagues?
I'm sorry, Mike Pinnock with the Louisville Department of Transportation.
Thank you.
None? Hearing none, we guess we should proceed with a vote. Hearing none, we'll proceed with a vote. All in favor?
No.
I'm sorry.
No, you can do it.
It's just a motion, right?
Yes. I mean, it's just resolution, sorry.
Okay, resolution. Okay. So, sorry, I'm still learning.
That's okay, that's all right.
All in favor? She did. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? It's done.
Okay.
Thank you, sir. All right, item 2, or actually item 1, is the special discussion, an update on downtown development district. This is something I mentioned to Councilman Hudson a while back, as I represent the Central Business District, but before that, with the Downtown Partnership, I was heavily involved with the CBD for many years, and we have special needs and projects and other such things, and I want to come in here and begin a discussion that will likely not end today, but that we can talk about various needs within that heavily used square mile, and we have 2 guests with us. If you would introduce yourselves, please.
Bill Bell, Director of the DOT.
Mike King, Assistant Director at LUDOT.
Sorry, I meant to say LUDOT. Sorry. Yeah. Feel free to use hashtag LUDOT.
Okay. And by the way, also as our guest, our colleague, Councilman Owen, who is moving into his new role in Louisville, which will involve bigger projects development. And over the years that I've been involved with downtown, we very often I've seen a disconnect between the big ticket items and the day-to-day details that are very important. And so I wanted to invite him here today so we can begin, I hope, a new chapter as we move forward together, understanding they both fit together well, and that the details do matter even on the biggest projects. And I invited him to be with us today as well.
Well, let me start by saying that we meet with the Louisville Downtown Partnership monthly, and so we talk about various issues in the CBD, and we try to check those off the list. Some of those are probably on your list as well, so we'll address a few of those today. Because we look at the investment for the CBD as far as infrastructure goes, we have $1.6 million in FY27 paving, and $3.75 million in congressional funding, including the match. Daily, we have CBD sweeping, carts, litter baskets. By swims, they're dealt with daily. And so you can see why it matters. We're talking about safety, number one, and then cleanliness. Of course, we all want to see a clean downtown. We want safe mobility for all users, especially vulnerable road users. As far as local roadways, Metro-owned, 641,000 in the next fiscal year, this fiscal year. We have $2 million, so thanks to the mayor and Metro Council for approving $2 million for one-way to two-way conversions. We're already developing plans for that. There's a lot of low-hanging fruit as far as the one-way to two-way conversions, plus some important roadways, which we'll talk about a little bit later, but we have some major developments on the horizon that we want to help those developments with the two-way conversions. You can see the streets and corridors there listed. And so we let the data drive us when it comes to paving and sidewalk repairs. PCI is the index, and so it says the weighted average is 73, which is a little high. So we want to hit all those. The higher they're rated, that's the ones we want to hit first. Okay.
All right, I'm going to go through some of the projects that have been completed recently, some projects that are in the pipeline, as well as a couple of the programs that we have that are applicable to downtown. So some of the completed current projects, I'm just going to kind of run through these and happy to answer questions if there's more specifics needed afterwards. East Market Streetscape, which was on the east side of downtown, predominantly through the Nulu area, was a complete overhaul of East Market Street. River Road Multimodal, which went from 3rd Street to 7th Street under I-64, repurposing the northernmost lane of that to expand the Louisville Loop and lighting enhancements amongst a few other things there. West Kentucky Street Corridor, which is some work that was done around Simmons College, and then the Main and Story Avenue intersection. That was a project that Louisville Metro did that allowed for the two-way conversions of the eastern phase of Main Street, the eventual two-way conversions of Story and Melwood. So that was a real linchpin project that unlocked a lot of other projects for us that we were very excited to complete. Projects that are underway, Reimagine 9th Street is kind of the big one that's going on right now. So that'll be a complete rebuild of 9th Street. From Market, you'll see a little bit going up to Main, but it's really focused more Market to Broadway. The project itself will pull the lanes to the eastern side and then in turn create sort of a public realm on the western side that'll have sort of like a park-like feel to it, some multimodal components, a lot of traffic calming. It'll be a phenomenal street that's more of a gateway to West Louisville and downtown than the division that it serves today. In addition, part of that project includes two-waying Muhammad Ali and Chestnut Street from 6th Street all the way out to their termini at Shawnee Park. A lot of the sort of under-the-scenes work is underway on that. The project will include milling and repaving those roads as well. We were fortunate to be able to work that into it. We should start to see a lot of that construction coming up here in a little bit. As Director Bell mentioned, we're also looking at some two-way conversions that I'll get into the specifics of here a little bit more in a moment. And then the other one is the sort of deferred maintenance, which is definitely an ongoing conversation we're having with the councilman, as well as LDP and some other folks, to make sure that through the programs we have, we're addressing a lot of the ongoing challenges that we have. So not just the new projects, but looking how we can take care of what we currently have.
Yeah, and then let me touch on that. There's some silver poles installed on Main Street, which I know that Rebecca really loves. Now, we are talking about painting those black to match the mast arms, and then also removing the porous pave around the trees so they can actually breathe and grow a little bit. And so we've done about, I want to say that we've removed about 20 of those. And so we've maybe a third into that. And we did that when KYTC, our maintenance contract ran out early June. So we pivoted those crews downtown so they could work on that project. So
And for those who don't know, porous pave was and is a product made up of ground up old tires, rock,
asphalt.
and some kind of resin that is meant to be hardscape that still allows for drainage. The problem is it has to be power washed once a year or it clogs up, and then it has a reverse effect on the trees, and it hasn't been properly maintained for years. And so we've lost some trees, and so we decided to forget that and go back and just take that out and go back to regular soil.
Yes, and we did consult with Cindy Sullivan and Trees Louisville, and she agreed that it'd be good to remove those. Let's see, go to the next slide.
So as I mentioned, one-way to two-way conversions is a pretty popular conversation a lot of times. Specifically with downtown, it's an opportunity for us to look at our existing infrastructure, say, hey, as downtown evolves into its next sort of iteration, it's important for us to also look at how our streets serve that. For the longest time, streets downtown were set up one way, including a lot of the streets in West Louisville and the neighborhoods just to the south of downtown, with the impetus of getting people into and out of downtown as quickly as possible. As we start to rethink downtown as more of an attraction for experiences and entertainment and things like that, while still supporting the business needs of downtown, we realized that our streets could be a lot more and a lot safer. So instead of trying to get people in and out in the morning and the afternoons, let's look at how we can make them better connected throughout. So as I mentioned before, Muhammad Ali and Chestnut, that one is ongoing. The milling and paving should start this September. As part of that, we're also looking at converting a lot of traffic signals to four-way stop signs. It's a proven safety countermeasure that we're able to use. And as we look at that, we don't just haphazardly do it. We put those on usually a 60-day trial period to test it out to see if it's going to achieve the results that we think it will. Every one of the ones we've done so far has met those warrants. So then through that project, what we can do is go in and say, hey, this makes more sense to be a four-way stop. And the metrics we look at with that is if this was a new road today, it probably wouldn't meet the warrants to need a traffic signal. A four-way stop sign would be the right traffic control at this. So it gives us a chance to sort of retroactively have those impacts. A couple other one-way to two-ways that you've probably noticed, 7th and 8th Street around Muhammad Ali and Liberty have recently been converted. A lot of credit to our transportation engineering department and our planning departments for being able to pull that off. Those are tied to larger federal projects that will do two-way conversions all the way on 7th and 8th Street. But it was necessary to sort of jumpstart those few blocks over there to support TARC's on-street transfer center. That effectively came on just yesterday, I believe, and so far so good from what we're seeing on that.
It's also correct on two-way conversions that according to the Jeff Speck recommendations, that all of the CBD and all of Nulu should go pretty much two-way. Is that correct?
Almost all of it. They did a great job of that plan. So the councilman's referring to a study we did about 1.5 years ago. We hired Stantec and Spec Dempsey to create what we call the walkability plan for downtown and Nulu. And a big part of that was looking at how we could sort of retrofit our streets. Most all of the streets can be done. They suggest a phased approach from sort of easiest to most difficult. The only ones that are really, really challenging to do are probably First and Brook, because they are so tied to the on and off ramps for the interstates. It becomes really challenging. You've got to modify on ramps, which takes a long time for us to be able to do that. So in reality, those streets, it probably makes sense to, at least for the near future, keep those as is. And then the other side of it is we as Metro don't have control over all the roadways. So there is the main streets and the market streets and things like that, which we'll continue to try to coordinate with KYTC. They've already done some of those in a few places with the two-way conversions, and we'll continue to collaborate with them to move those forward.
And you know this is coming if they can do that instead of, one-way, two-way, which just happened again on Main Street. That would be nice. It's causes great confusion to do that this way and then this way, especially with tourists. I've seen them just, what do I do now? That look on their face. So it's can be confusing if it's not done. I think best practice is to do two-way conversion on parallel streets, 2 streets at a time, ideally, and for the entire length if possible. I know it's about money and timing.
Yeah, and there's a lot of factors that go into that, but you're absolutely right. You don't get the benefits of a one-way to two-way street if you do a segment here, then a one-way segment, then a two-way segment over here. You don't really get those connectivity benefits till it happens all the way through. So we are working with KYTC to try and move those forward as much as we can.
And I could point out too that we're concentrating on the Central Business District today down, that's for the public. That's Hancock to 9th, York to the River, the classic Central Business District. But because this 1 square mile approximately is pounded every day with far more use, we can we can learn things faster here as far as what that does, and then share that with our outlying neighborhoods and districts, so we can learn quickly what public use can do, and then learn those lessons and share them. So.
Yeah, absolutely, and it's tied to our network. The one-way streets that are in the CBD, they extend outside of the CBD and vice versa. The ones that are outside of the CBD come into that. So looking at the system as a whole, but with that sort of focus on the CBD to start with is why we went that route.
Yeah, we have, I think, approximately 100,000 people a day that come in and out of this square mile, plus events, plus everything else. So we certainly, and it's not tearing things up on purpose, it's just heavy use, and we just learn those lessons and hopefully can apply those elsewhere.
Wholeheartedly agree. The next slide kind of is the metrics of what we measure most of our projects through, and that's through safety. So all the projects that I've mentioned to this point, the East Market Streetscape, River Road Multimodal, West Kentucky, the two-way conversions, all of those go back to safety components to make sure that, to your point, there are so many people that are using downtown on a daily basis, but also we need to make sure that's a safe environment. So it's not only just, it feels like a safe place to be, but it's also a safe place to traverse through. We've got sort of a pipeline of traffic calming projects. I give a lot of credit again to our transportation planning and transportation engineering teams. They're developing specifications for what each of the installations could look like, from speed humps to speed tables, delineator posts, getting uniformity not only to what those look like, but also where we can apply those. So we have a very data-driven approach to that, and then we can push those on the areas where we see the most need for traffic calming.
Yeah, on the CBD maintenance, we appreciate help from LDP and the councilman as far as getting us inventory of all those, and so we'll hit those as soon as we can.
You know, Ms. Fleischer couldn't make it today, but I know that they want to help cooperate with us, and perhaps like on curbs, I could use their staff to help us identify what I say curb chunks that are missing. There's 7 out here on 6th Street outside this building, for example. And of course, if we don't fix those, they look unsightly, but they also, if they're not fixed, then they eat away at the sidewalk plates, which is a far more expensive fix down the road. So we're trying to get ahead of that and fix those early and properly.
And last one on here, I know it probably sound like a broken record on Reimagine 9th Street, but we're really excited about this project because it's going to be great. So I mentioned that the milling and repaving for the two-way conversions should happen in September. We should also be letting the actual reconstruction of 9th Street this fall. So that'll go out to bid over the winter. They'll start to do some of the preliminary work, some of the surveying, all the necessary components with that. And then we anticipate really kind of seeing the crux of construction starting next year, probably just post-Derby time is when I would think that would start. Probably about a 1.5-year project, 1.5 to 2 years, all said and told. We do anticipate being able to keep at least one lane in each direction open throughout construction. So 9th Street would never see a full closure during the construction phase.
I think one thing I want to add about you mentioned state roads earlier, that we have state roads everywhere in Jefferson County, but the downtown district is laced with state roads. So if the public sees a road that should be fixed but isn't quite being done yet, it has to go through another level of approval, and that's just the way it is. Nobody's delaying it on purpose. It's just because it's a state road, we have to go through other another process.
Yeah.
That's correct.
Yep.
All right, I'll just touch on a couple swims items here. We have night sweeping in the CBD, Sunday through Thursday, 11 p.m. to 7 a.m. CBD collection, that time, and those times are not right on there. Those are old times. The new times, Sunday through Thursday, 11 p.m. to 7 a.m., Saturday and Sunday, 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. We'll correct that slide. And then, this is all, it goes back to the cleanliness of the CBD, make sure it's welcoming to visitors to our city. So we want to make sure that, and the curbside, we have standardized containers. So most of them are 95 gallons, 65 gallon for food businesses, so.
And I see snow in this one slide here, and these sidewalks in front of private property, business or otherwise, are the responsibility, removal are the responsibility of the private property owner, correct?
The sidewalks.
Throughout.
Yep.
Sometimes.
Oh, the sweeper. The new loop sweeper? Oh, okay. Well, it's not new loop. Yeah. So we have a mini sweeper that we've been using, not only just in new loop, but also on a lot of the protected bike lanes. And right now on our webpage, I don't know if is it final?
Not to my knowledge.
Okay, we had a naming contest. So we collected names from the public. I think we have over 200 or 300 names, potential names. So I'm not going to release
Are
any.
they named after? Never mind, you're not ready.
There was one, I'll give you one. Merrill Sweep. That was one.
That's nice.
So there's several like that.
Cool.
Okay,
Please.
that is it.
Okay.
Questions?
Well, so when I refer to, I said to Councilman Owen here in his new role, that sometimes I've known, and this again is from my experience of 2 decades with the Downtown Partnership and overseeing the ambassadors who have to take care of whatever is installed, designed and installed, that many times there are issues that could have been corrected in advance. For example, it comes to mind, it's a habit of sometimes planting a tree within 5 feet of a light pole. It still happens, which means that in 3 years' time, the tree grows in, and I don't know what those light poles cost, but it's rendered fairly useless when the tree is leafed out. Using pavers and sidewalk as decoration, I'm a designer by profession. There's a desire to do that, but over time, that's a problem. As I said, every crack between every brick is a weed waiting to grow, and the bricks are never consistent, and over time they begin to move and they pop out, and tripping hazards, and just this design changes early in the process could save us a lot of trouble and cost down the road. And I would just advise us to try to get to that before we have it installed and have to take care of it. So that's why I was talking, if we can begin the process of the big projects, keeping in mind the detailed care down the road, that we can have nice things, but still that we can take care of.
Yeah, we have mandated historic mix in the CBD now.
Yes.
So
And as we patch, that's, of course, as you know, that's one of my pet peeves. As they fix the curb chunks, I said, please don't use blinding white suburban concrete. We just don't need white dots all over downtown, please.
we agree.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, and I would just add to that too, that's part of the hopes behind the establishment of a Department of Transportation. So with LUDOT, what we've done is on the other side of, yes, we have projects that we do, but there are also developer-driven projects that happen. So we have a development review team that's more directly tied to Department of Transportation, so we can look at those investments that developers making as part of their process, and to your point, making sure that they're sort of meeting the standards of something that we're going to be able to maintain going forward. So the goal of the Department of Transportation, and so far so good, I think, is a lot better collaboration with all components of transportation, because it was happening in so many different places before.
And since we have some time, we can touch on trees a little bit, perhaps, because we need as many as we can get, especially in the heat island down here. And I know that I believe the best practice is a minimum of 4 by 8, or the equivalent of 33 square feet. And of course, that's cheaper because it's less concrete. The bigger the tree well, the less concrete you pour. So what we've had for older tree wells, we come back in and say, gee, we wish those were bigger. And then we would look for money to cut out the concrete that should never have been poured in the first place. So if we could have minimal standards and make sure that they're, or minimal size standards, make sure that they're poured, then we save a little bit of money here and there, and then also it's better for the trees. So those are the kinds of things that, and planting the proper kinds of trees in the CBD in particular, that we like to do native species in most cases, but concrete and asphalt are not native to Kentucky, and therefore there are certain trees that just simply won't survive in these conditions. And so years ago, I worked with Mark White to come up with a shorter list of trees that worked down here. I need to try to find that somewhere because they're not all native, but they do well in these naturally harsh conditions.
We've had some productive conversations with urban forestry on trees on sidewalks or in the tree wells. And also, another thing we have to worry about is salt, because we've lost a few trees on East Market due to the salinity percentage in the soil. So, so we're going to have to replace those probably early November, just because that's the time to replant or plant new trees.
Yeah, once the root balls go dormant, it's really actually in November through the winter into early spring. There's a window there where they can more easily.
Yeah, I think the contract the contract date starts November 1st as far as planting.
Yeah.
So,
And it's
so we want to get them in there as soon as we can.
and salt is another consideration. The most salt tolerant.
Yeah, we have to find a tree that's tolerable.
And ongoing care. That's again, it's sexy to plant them, not so much to
Maintain.
care for them over the years. And in fact, I'll give them a kudos on in public here. When I first got in office last year, I used our money to pay for properly limbing up all the street trees on Broadway from Cave Hill to 32nd Street. You had to walk, I keep hitting my microphone, sorry. You had to walk down the sidewalk with trees like this, and we got them up here. Last year, the waterfront park crews, at my request, agreed to on their nickel to do all the trees on Main Street from I-65 to I-64. Every year they rent a chipper, and while they had it, they said they would do those trees. This year they're going to do Market again this fall. And as we speak, there are crews out there trimming the trees on the north-south streets between Main and Market, so we can kind of march southward between Main and Broadway and come together and take care of all the mature trees properly. It's better for them, better for aesthetics, and also better for sight lines and security. If we can, the cleaner sight lines helps with people feeling safer. Anybody have anything? Okay. Okay. I think that's kind of it, but we appreciate you guys coming. We'll keep you posted, especially as we learn more in our intense environment, and love you guys being here, and we'll work with the downtown partnership as well and set the standard in downtown for the community. Thank you so much.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Okay. Is there any other business before us? Hearing none, we are adjourned. Thanks.
Also let families come once a week and get what we call bread, produce, and sweets. Because for some of our families, just having that additional produce is enough to help them stretch the budget. It's starting to definitely get some holes, and our Dare to Care delivery isn't actually till the second Wednesday of the month. We're really depending on donations coming in.